Welcome back, hour number two, Dennis and Callahan. I don't think, Gerry, that I am overstating the case to say that Bill Cosby is one of the long-lasting icons in the entertainment industry worldwide. My guess is that Bill probably wouldn't want me to remind all of you that for the better part of maybe 50 years, he has been a successful comedian, actor, author, spokesman, television producer, musician, and activist. Bill will be performing 2 shows at the South Shore Music Circus in Cohasset August 8th. We'll tell you more about that during the course of this interview. Bill Cosby joins us on the phone lines. Good morning, Bill. It's John and Gerry in Boston. How are you, sir?
Yay! Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, you know, that little flowery intro that I just gave to you really does succinctly lead me to my first serious question, and that is, Bill, in this day of disposable celebrities and entertainment people whose shelf life is very, very short, have you given any thought as to how you have done what you've done successfully and with acceptance for all these many years?
Yes.
And the answer is?
I'm still thinking. Well, you know, you plan ahead. That's one thing, and if your plan works, okay, you can do that with acting. You can say, okay, what kind of life? What do I want to do? Now, my movies have been, but the TV things, I've had more failures than successes, but the successful show with the Huxtables, mm-hmm. and of course wonderful people working with them. But the comedy, the performance comedy, that was honed in Greenwich Village. It was changed. It was moved. For instance, there's a classic routine called Noah. Mm-hmm. I don't do it anymore, but it was the piece that set me away from all of the new comedians coming in. I was 24 years old. I am 71 now. It is important, I think, that people of my time were forced to make a decision. You use profanity
right.
When you enter, and the police, the federale, is going to come in and bust you. On top of that, profanity was not allowed by my mother, and so it was no problem to write these routines and do them. And I just fell into a very comfortable mode of proving to people, look, when you're born in America, and if you have a certain culture you're living with, whether you're living in the projects, whether you're living lower economically, you will be the same kind of person that the other lower economic person is, except for maybe a few discrepancies, but behaviorally it will be the same, and these things connected.
You know, Bill, it seems to me that even if it weren't for the federales or your mother washing your mouth out with soap, if you used profanity and worked blue, that probably wouldn't have happened anyway. And my guess is it never occurred to you as you were honing and reworking your stand-up routines in the early days that jokes about airline food or New York cabbies or mother-in-laws would have any kind of longevity for you.
I came in from Temple University. I left school as a junior who was going to become a physical education teacher with the idea that I was going to catch these young Bill Cosbys. I was going to teach what was called then junior high school, which is middle school. And I felt that I knew the way they were thinking and how their self-esteem was gone, and no matter what they acted like, so forth and so on. A different world from the one we look at today, obviously. But I felt writing things, listening to the professor talk about history, my mind just ADD'd into some of these routines. It ADHD'd into thoughts of the Bible. Speech class was public speaking was wonderful. Even getting into biology, and it became whatever I saw and I felt was funny. I just wrote it down, and they are not jokes. It's just writing that becomes funny when I talk.
Well, we all know that it's not all funny, Bill, and you kind of have a reputation of a guy who can get serious. It's been a few years since you've started telling young African-American guys to pull up their pants and take care of their kids and stop using the N-word. Do you think you've had an effect? Has anyone listened?
Oh, yes, even the people who dislike what I've done or how I've done it. It has to happen because this is not brought about just by the people. This is for sale. This stuff is for sale. It moves along the lines of people who are selling, not caring what the bottom line is. And for the most part, I think most people, it's when you listen to school teachers tell you, regardless of race, color, or creed, that they've sent notes with the child and there was no response. They wanted to talk to the parent about the child, and then they have the phone number the teachers have, and they call and they get no response. And then they email, and then they do all kinds of things trying to say to the parent, help, I need to talk to you about your child. And there's no response. And then finally, when the child does something and they have to bring the parent in, then the parent has these behaviors that are full of anger and frustration, but no, we can't blame themselves. They can't blame themselves. They didn't get after the teacher. They get after the principal. So what I want to do is I just want to wake the people up to the fact that there's if you look at successful people, there's a way that you can copy this. There are things that you can do, but you've got to have a value about yourself, and that leads to something very important, and that is depression. So for whatever reason, if you look at why people are depressed, whatever reason it is, that's the thing they also have to work on.
Bill, I will resist asking you the cliche question that I'm sure you get in every single interview, and that is, of all the stuff you've done, what was your favorite? I Spy, Cosby 69, Fat Albert, the Cosby Kids, all of that stuff.
All of this, number one, it comes down to sitting in that classroom at Temple University with one more year left to play what was called football at Temple University and running track. We were Division 12. We lost to every school that ended with the last letters that spelled Berg. And figuring out, hey, man, this stuff is funny, but nobody wants to do it, and I want to do it. Now, I was 24 years old because I'd gone into the service. I made a mess of my life, judging from my state of depression, my low self-esteem. But, man, I woke up that morning, 04:30, and that man in boot camp put his face to mine with that cigarette butt burning and being held in his lips, and I was ready to play the mother game. Okay, Mom comes back 3 times to wake you up, and then the third time you really get up. Well, he didn't know that game. Well, he must have known it, but he didn't play it because he put his nose next to mine. This is a white man. I've never been that close to white people. And he said, "I'm not your mother." And that day was the day that I was born again towards education, and I've loved it ever since, and I've loved passing the word on. Now, whether people want to yell, whether they want to say I'm picking on the poor, which I'm not, it makes no sense to say that. But then again, Gloria Steinem said a friend of hers told her, "The truth shall set you free, but first it will make you very, very angry."
Bill, final question for me. In 1984, when the Bill Cosby Show debuted, did you know then it was going to have a cultural impact of sorts to offset some stereotypes about African-American families, or did you realize that closer to when the show went off the air in 1992?
No, but I've always worked that way. If you look at I Spy, Chet Kincaid, Chet Kincaid lasted 2 years. Then we had the CBS show. That lasted 1 year. We went up against Monday Night Football's premiere. My brother Russell said, "You're on up against Monday Night Football." I said, "Yeah." He said, "You better be funny." So that was 1 year. Then went into another television series. I had a whole lot of series that did not work. But when this one came, I was just hoping that there would be enough people for me to say what I have to say. This was not about, first of all, I'm black. My wife is black, and she's going to speak Spanish. Obviously, if the two of us mate, we do the cow thing. If you made a brown cow with a brown cow, what do you get? Well, two cows, you get nothing. Anyway, it's important that I was giving to people this show with 5 children saying, "I want the house back." That's what that series was about. I want the house back. Because all of these TV sitcom things had little children telling parents and people who were supposed to be watching them where to get off, what to do, like they had great philosophy.
We should point out that Bill is performing 2 shows at the South Shore Music Circus in Cohasset. That'll be August 8th, 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. Tickets at the box office on Sawyer Street down there, or you can check them out online, themusiccircus.org, or call Ticketmaster. Bill Cosby, South Shore Music Circus.
And do me a favor.
August
Tell
8th.
these people
Yes, sir.
to really call and stop sitting around saying, it'll be sold out. It is not sold out yet. People have a problem with where they want to put their dollars. But my bet is an hour and a half of smiles, tears from laughter, and muscle strain from laughter, having a good time. Bring your wife. Give tickets to your father for Father's Day this weekend. And you two guys get in for free.
Whoa.
Bill Cosby, South Shore Music Circus, Cohasset, August 8th, 2 shows. We'll check it out on themusiccircus.org or call Ticketmaster. Bill, pleasure talking to me this morning. Look forward to seeing you next month down on the South Shore.
And may I give a thank God to Big Papi.
Yes, he has reemerged.
Thank God.
Good talking to you, Bill. We'll talk to you in August.
All right.
Bill Cosby with Dennis and Callahan on the AT&T hotline. AT&T, your world delivered.
Drinking and driving.